Good morning, Streamline Business Strategies friends. And my dogs have just decided to go in chorus with this live. So please excuse them if you can hear them, but that's what life's about, right? So I'm here, I'm jumping from one live to another. I just got off of doing a live for Grow Buffalo Business. And I thought, while I have that in my mind, I'd like to mention to people here Grow Buffalo Business is a resource to support small business owners, and not just in Buffalo. We run a lot of virtual events, both networking and education wise. So if you're not a member of that group, that's something that you might want to explore. Just reach out to me and I can send you an invite to the group. But for now, we are here in the Streamline Business Strategies group to talk about attracting clients you love to work with, right? So as you come on here, whether you're watching the live or watching the replay, come in and let me know you're here. Love to know your thoughts on what I am about to be discussing today, or if perhaps you've had some experiences as you've taken action on the last two videos that I put up here on Tuesday and Wednesday, right? So this is the third in a three-part series. We've talked about who to contact, how to reach out in the last 2 days' videos. If you didn't watch those, please go back and do so. You can set the replay speed with Facebook on 1.5 or 2 to review them even faster. But for now, stay here. Each of these do stand alone on their own. And so today, I want to assume that you have created your fabulous outreach list of the people you want to work with. You've done the outreach. You've sent those messages. I gave you some templates about that yesterday. And now you've started to get a great response back. You have a lot of people who want to talk with you. So great job, right? The hard part is done. You've started that relationship building or are nurturing the current relationship, which is just what we're looking for here. The people who have responded are interested in hearing about you and your work, or they wouldn't have responded at all. So part 3 today is about the conversation. And Brandon, I'm so glad that you're here. Brandon, oh my goodness, you have been in there. You've been doing the work. I appreciate you being here. And I actually have some suggestions for you today as well. I see you've started putting your list together, figuring out who I want to start with for your outreach. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. I know you're a busy guy, so when you have, even if you have like 15, 20 minutes to sit down and start crafting those outreach messages, that'll be really helpful, because once you get into a flow, they do go much faster. But congratulations. I really, big shout out to you for doing the work and moving forward. I'm looking forward to hearing what happens as a result of that. All right, so we're here today to talk about the conversation. You've gotten people who want to talk with you. They've resonated with the message that you've sent out to them. So you're about to start the call. Before you get on the call, though, or meeting or Zoom or whatever it might be, check in with yourself and ask yourself, what is your mindset before the call? Okay, so think about your conversation. If you find yourself excited to talk with a person, right? You're really looking forward with the interaction. Perfect. You are ready to go. If you're a little nervous, perhaps, or unsure about yourself, that's a time to do some quick mindset shifting work. Take the pressure off of yourself and just tell yourself, really, the outcome doesn't matter. Your purpose in this call is to get to know the person better and see if there are ways that you can add value to their lives, to their business. That's it. It's not to make a sale. It's not to get them to like you. There's really no pressure. So just allow yourself to have fun with the conversation. Now, when you're considering that mindset, if you're maybe not looking forward to the call because you know down deep for some reason you're not into it, you just don't feel like talking with a person today, consider that a bit of a red flag, maybe a warning sign, and you'll want to explore that a little bit. Figure out, is this feeling coming from something that perhaps is bothering you, maybe in your own life or business unrelated to the other person? If that's the case, give yourself a break and just tell yourself you're going to deal with the other challenges later after the call. Give yourself kind of a like a mental shower where you're just washing away that negative energy for the call. If this feeling though, right, our whole point here is attracting clients that you love. So if this feeling truly is coming from your reaction to the other person, consider that perhaps this is a person that isn't an ideal fit, and that's okay. Go forward with the conversation. Consider it more of research or exploration of whether this would be a good fit. Again, no pressure at all. You're just doing research. All right, now it's time for the conversation. What do you say? You don't. Or rather, you ask. Focus the conversation on the other person. Whether this is, remember those four categories of people that I spoke about on Tuesday, whether it's a past client, whether it's a past prospect, or simply a person you'd love to work with, or a possible referral source, you ask about them. And sometimes people will right away, they'll jump right in and ask about you. Switch the conversation back. Say something like, listen, I definitely will answer that, but first, I really want to hear about you, right? Make them the focus and then keep asking questions, right? Conversations can go a million different ways. So these are just some overall guidelines, but this one is a really important one. You want to keep this in mind. One question is worth 10 statements every single time. So you really want to put the focus on them, ask them questions, some perhaps starter questions just to get the conversation going. Remember when we talked about the outreach message yesterday, you're going to talk about some kind of point of connection, something that you have mutually in common. That's a great way to start the conversation, right? So you could even go back to your outreach message and see what you put there. What was the part that you tailored to them and ask about them? So, for example, I may say something like, it was great meeting you at that Grow Buffalo business event. How did you first hear about that group or what made you want to attend? You can also do some research ahead of time. Check their website, right, Brandon? Check their socials. Maybe reference something recent that's happening that appears in those locations. I had a conversation yesterday with a long-term friend who also happened to be a past client of mine about 7 or 8 years ago. And the start of our conversation, we just spent catching up, probably 20 minutes talking about his family, his move from Illinois to Colorado, what had happened during this long period of time. It was great. And both of us just were really relaxed in the conversation. So the point is just to gradually to make yourself comfortable and make the other person comfortable as well. All right, so you're having the conversation, you're asking about them. At some point you do want to shift so that you are talking more about the work that you do to see if you can help them and provide value. So we want to gradually shift the conversation. In this case, when I was talking with this person yesterday, I asked him about his business that he had started in late 2021. And one question led to a bunch more, right? So, how he got there, what was helping him grow, what were his plans for the future of his business, right? So we shifted the conversation more to the area of work that I'm involved with. So, like Brandon here on the call may shift the conversation to asking more about the person's website or how they are attractive to people. How do they make sure that their message is communicated to people with disabilities, right? So you'll want to shift the conversation a bit more to your work. In my case, I'm asking him about his plans for his business. What are some of the challenges along the way? All of those creating a way for this person to do a deeper dive into his work, or in your case, whatever it has to do with the work you do. And in my situation, it really made transitioning into my work pretty easily, especially as he'd already worked with me as a business coach. So here are some key questions that might be helpful for you in making this shift over to your work. It might be something asking around what their future goals are with regard to your particular area of work. So Ruth was on here. I know she's been watching the replays, and Ruth is an amazing probate and estate planning attorney. So her questions might be around after the initial questions as she's shifting things. What are your future goals with regard to your estate planning? Right? So just starting to shift that. What are you thinking about the future and taking care, leaving a legacy and taking care of your family down the road or your partners, whatever that might look like. Another great question, I think, is picturing out a certain point of time and asking them to, all right, say it's the end of 2023. What would have to have happened for you to feel happy in what you've accomplished? And of course, in your area of expertise. So Karen Sharp Price, I know she was on a couple of the calls. Karen's a wonderful career coach. So she might ask something like, by 6 months from now, where do you want to have landed in your career search? To feel really happy about your moving forward in your career. Another question might be exploring some of the challenges, right? Something like, well, what do you think might keep you from reaching this goal? Or what has kept you from achieving this goal so far? Right? So, Brandon, thinking about you, what has kept you from updating your website as it's such an important marketing tool in your business? Right? So, you're making that shift, you're going deeper into the conversation. Now, in some cases, the other person, and usually actually, after the focus has been on them for quite some time, the other person will shift the conversation at some point over to you. And typically, it happens when you are asking those questions where you have that mutual commonality or where you shifted into your work a bit more. So you can either wait for this to happen naturally, which it usually will, or you can shift the conversation yourself. Okay, so like in my case yesterday, I was asking about his business, and it got to the point where my friend actually asked, well, how do you see that you'd be able to help me moving forward given what I've shared? Which is just, the perfect opening, right? That does happen. It happened to me yesterday. It can happen for you in your work too. Funny too, he had mentioned that he had asked me about something that was in my LinkedIn profile that had not been in the outreach. And what I've been realizing more and more are the lurkers that are out there, lurkers in a good way. So your social media posts are super important, even if you're not seeing a lot of comments or emojis coming up there. But because of that, he was really up to date on what I had been doing. So he could shift the conversation over to me pretty easily. If for some reason that shift is not naturally happening, you do want to make sure that you do have that time to discuss your work. So, one way that I like to do that is to say something to the effect of, listen, I want to be very respectful of your time. And I mentioned I'd like to share with you about the work I'm currently doing or my services, right? This is why it's so important in that outreach message to let them know that you do want to share with them about your work and how you may be able to help them. So, stating that, I mentioned I'd like to share with you about the work I'm doing, whatever it might be pertaining to you. And may I tell you a bit about this? Always ask permission to share. They'll be prepared with the outreach message, but you still want to put that ask out there. What you don't want to do is go barreling forward with some sales spiel that really doesn't naturally occur in a conversation. So ask permission to share. Here, this next part of the conversation, it's where it's so important that you're very clear on your messaging. You don't want to ramble on and on about what you do. Be clear and to the point, describing your work. And most importantly, focus on the way your work benefits your clients. Always focus on relevant results for the person you're speaking with, right? So in my situation, I reflected back to this gentleman the challenges that he had shared with me and how I could help him with those. You'll want to do the same when you're talking about your work. All right. Again, Just really keep the focus on how you can help their specific challenges or help them achieve their goals in their area of business. You can share a recent success story. Brandon, great idea. I mean, you have such a visual here, right? So you could share if you're on a Zoom or even if you're together, you could pull it up on a phone or a laptop, samples of websites that you have done similar to, perhaps similar to their business or something they could relate to. Susan, who was watching the first call, amazing interior decorator. She can share photos of the work that she's done or a link to her beautiful website where there are pictures. Karen, the career coach, can share a recent success story of maybe maybe she's worked with an older individual who's just landed their dream job through working with her when they didn't think it was possible due to their age. That happens a lot. So there are all kinds of opportunities there when you're focusing on their challenges and how you can help to provide examples and to really share what can lead to the results, the goals that they are aiming for. All right. So again, conversations can go a million different ways. If it does feel appropriate after you've done this exploration and shared about your work, if it does seem appropriate to make an offer, oh, good, now we have sirens going by. If it feels appropriate to make an offer to work with them, and remember, we're looking for people we love to work with. So if this is someone you really do want to work with, then go ahead and make the offer. Tell them, I would love to help support you in whatever their challenge is by, and then share what that service is. You can share with them my pricing, my fees, the investment is, and then how does that sound to you? And then be silent. One thing that I see oftentimes people doing is they'll share about their fees and then feel like they've got to keep going and justify what they are and prove that they're worth whatever that is that they've put forward. Just be quiet. Let the person, give them some time to think about it and respond. Now, sometimes an offer is not appropriate. You'll get a feel through the conversation. Just sometimes it's just not a fit. Maybe this is some type of exploratory call or a first connection type of call. Maybe it turns out they really don't need your services or they don't have particular challenges in your field. We don't want to force anything on anyone. Or maybe you discover through that phone call that this is not a good fit for you. In those cases, you have all kinds of options to follow here. One would be simply, if this is somebody that you think there may be some opportunities down the road, or you just want to keep in touch with them, suggest keeping in touch. Put them on your calendar for follow-up. I love it when people share a resource that could be helpful to the person they're meeting with. Yesterday, it was funny. The gentleman I was speaking with, he gave me a resource. He gave me a great. He shared a podcast that he thought I'd really be interested in. So think about that. Think of something recent that might be helpful for that person. Remember, we want to keep adding value to the people we're engaging with. You may also want to suggest if and make the ask that if they know of anyone else who could use your assistance, that you'd love for them to keep you in mind, right? So, whatever feels like a good fit from that conversation, keeping in mind that you want to keep providing value. You really want to help support the person. Quick recap of what I've just covered. Number one is the mindset check in. Number two, first part of the conversation, get comfortable with it, make the other person comfortable. Number three, focus on them. Remember, one question is worth 10 statements. Fourth element, shift the conversation to your work. And number five, close in whatever way feels most appropriate. Perhaps an offer, perhaps providing a resource, maybe suggesting follow up, asking if they know someone else, or it could be something else that comes up from the conversation. But just keep providing value in mind as you're finishing up this conversation. Always remember that the purpose of the conversation is to develop rapport and build or nurture a relationship. It really is to provide value to the other person. Sometimes it leads to business, sometimes not, and maybe not right then, maybe not at all. Another time might be appropriate, or they may know someone else who needs your help. Whatever you do, if this conversation does not lead to business now or down the road, I'd like to share this saying from one of my favorite mentors, Jack Canfield. SW, 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 SW. Some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. Have a great day, everyone, and enjoy those conversations.